I kind of love the irony of the fact that the early teasers for Alien 3 said on Earth everyone can hear you scream, and yet it's taken the franchise this long just to get to frickin' Earth. Alien Earth, first episode. I came into this with high expectations might be too much. Let's go with high hopes. So here's where I'm at with this. Short version, if this did not have Noah Hawley heading it, I probably wouldn't care. Noah Hawley, if you don't know, was the showrunner for Fargo, the TV show, and Legion, which if you've ever seen that one, it is bonkers. And that's the thing. Noah Hawley takes really interesting creative choices, makes really interesting swerves, takes things in directions you wouldn't expect, is definitely not afraid to be freaking weird. And right now, the Alien franchise could use some weird. When I did my review of Alien Romulus, I'm pretty sure I said in that video they should stop making Alien movies. There was a reason I said Alien movies specifically, though. It's not that I think there's no mileage left in the setting. I just don't think it is in the film format. I think the restrictions of time, how long you have, the kinds of stories you can tell in that amount of time, set in the Alien universe, I think it's cooked. I think it's completely cooked. Prometheus tried to expand it beyond just the xenomorph, and people got really mixed about it, and the studio panicked and went right back to the xenomorphs again. And while, Romulus has some merits, I think less of it as time goes on. And I'm not interested anymore. This, though, and from right off the bat, we see a xenomorph. We see a few other creatures too, which is nice. Here's kind of my fundamental problem with the idea of an Alien franchise, especially as it has evolved over time. It's that part of what's really existentially terrifying about that first Alien movie, especially, is the idea that, oh crap, we just found this thing out there and it's bonkers and deadly and we don't know how to deal with it and we just randomly stumbled across it. What else is out there? Part of the fear of the original Alien is the alien, the xenomorph itself, but also just what it implies. And unfortunately, with pretty much every subsequent film, that implication has just been, it's just more xenomorph stuff. And I'm not knocking all the sequels. Aliens did at least expand the idea of these things in and of themselves into something bigger, grander, cool. But everything since then has just kind of been belittling the idea that there's a big expansive universe that could have who knows what else out there. Prometheus tried a little, still tried to tie it back to that stuff, which is frustrating in its own way. But again, that didn't take. So what is there left to explore? The people. What's going on with the people? What's going on with the corporations? And I like the emphasis on the different branches of synthetic life in the quest for immortality. Cyborgs, synthetics, and now these hybrids. Children. It's specifically marked at that it has to be children. Adult minds are too set in their ways. They're too rigid. They won't make the transition. But children, in this case, terminally ill children, put into these new bodies, their minds transferred, but the body's completely synthetic. So this is what deserves expansion, because while my opinion of Romulus has been dropping as time has gone on, the android character and the story factors around him were the best part of that movie by a pretty hefty amount, actually, in hindsight. And that's where there's a lot of room for expansion. How are these things used? How are they treated? What are their lives like? How are they not just people who bleed milk like in the case of the synthetics. How are they actually different? How is their view of life, the world, their experience of it different? And while this first episode doesn't delve fully into that, it tees up pretty much all those questions. And in the hands of Noah Hawley, that has me excited. Character-wise, I think I am right now most intrigued by Wendy, who is our primary sort of hybrid character, the first one. And there was something, I don't know, the scene that I zeroed in on was like she's spying on her brother who thinks she's dead. And she has access to basically cameras all over the place. And this is clearly a surveillance state. So she can just access what he's doing all the time. And like she syncs up because he's at home watching a movie, watching an Ice Age movie of all things. But he's watching that movie, so she's watching it too. And it was something they used to watch together as children. And just that proxy connection that she builds with him. What I really like about that is so often those kinds of proxy, I can't like touch you or see you, but I still care about you sorts of things in these kinds of shows or movies is treated very tragically, very sadly. There's something really sweet about the way it's done here. Even if it's just down to the smile on her face. I'm really, really intrigued by her. The rest of the characters so far are fine. There's a little bit of the dialogue writing in this first one, at least, that is a bit expositional and a little on the clunky side. I'm expecting that to largely clear up as it goes because, they need, not only do they need to set up a lot, it's also clear that Noah Hawley wanted to hit the ground running as much as was possible. So that does mean we get a number of lines that are just like, look, here's the deal. Here's the deal that's going on. You need this information. Take it and let's move on. And I'm going to be real curious to see how the story builds in terms of, these things, this crash landing of this ship. I'm not going to go over the plot. I'm assuming you've watched it. The crash landing of this ship and, who's going to get hurt and how. I'm probably going to put minimal thought into how this fits into the Alien Universe timeline, because it might be one of the things where like, okay, technically that fits, but like at the same time, it is kind of weird that like, okay, but the original Alien movie, which is set later than this, makes increasingly less sense, at least in terms of framing, because it very much treats it as like this is something we are discovering for the first time, and like clearly not. But I'll try very hard not to get hung up on that, because that's a crutch that there's only so much they can do with. I am kind of curious as to why specifically the choice was made to make this a prequel as opposed to set a little bit later, like a little closer to Romulus maybe in the timeline, but I don't know, maybe there is a reason. Or maybe it was completely freaking arbitrary. Maybe there's no reason it's set in this particular point in time. I don't know. Again, something I'm probably not going to think too much about unless the show draws excessive attention to it. Then I might. But that's something that I intend to largely overlook and gloss over. So if you're here for that kind of analysis, you're not going to find it. But I think that's about it. Mostly unknown actors. The only one I recognized was Timothy Olyphant, and oh geez, like the bleached eyebrows. That's a bad look on him. I really hope that was like brushed in makeup over his eyebrows. I hope they didn't actually bleach his eyebrows, because like then he'd have to shave them off and regrow them. Oh boy, I hope not. It's a bad look. But again, he plays, I don't think it's been confirmed. I'm assuming a synthetic, just with the way he's been up to now. And I'll be curious to see, the differences in terms of, because we have a cyborg character. So far we have a primary cyborg character in Morrow, who was on the ship. The primary synthetic character, which is Timothy Olyphant's character, who I don't remember the name of. And then we have a little group of hybrids, our little lost boys led by Wendy. And I'll be really curious to see how they develop, but also the distinctions that are kept between them. Because, like, Noah Hawley has the chance to not just have this be a case of, like, oh, can robots be like people? Like, yeah, that's been explored a lot. But he has the chance to explore how are 3 different branches on this artificial life tree not only different or similar to people, how are they different or similar to each other? That's interesting. So, like, it's not an amazing opening, but it's a solid opening, and it tees up a lot of stuff that I want. So, yeah, I'm going to try and keep on the top of this with timely video releases. We will see if I actually manage that, but I am going to try. So, Alien Earth. What are your thoughts on this? Whatever they are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Patreon pays the bills and enables me to do this as my living. Even if you can't help me out that way, like, share, subscribe. They all help. Don't worry too much about it, though. We take a relaxed attitude around here, so you can just come on back next time you need a break. And now to thank my highest supporting patrons: Robin Moore, Jared Boyce, Zubin Fulla, Auntie Kate 808, Mira G, Angry Casperl, Dave Hall, Movie Turtle, Oliver B, Sean Miller, Welsh Wrestling Geeks, Melissa Pedersen, Mary Mello, Becky Sparks, Loki Eris, Tracy Scrabbit, Pal Barabajoggle, and Sir Didymus is my favorite. Don't worry, the rats are all fine, but my rat wrangler is not here right now, and I thought we could have Archie say hi. Or not.